March Forward Girl by Melba Patillo Beals. Narrated by Mr. Townsend, 8th grade ELA, AGW. Chapter 9. I'm Not Alone. Please replace the newspaper pages in order and fold it neatly, Grandma instructed me late one Thursday afternoon. You won't be allowed to read it if you scatter pages about the room. There will be other people to read it after you. That made me think about the fact that Papa read the paper every evening and that it was always needed to be folded and placed on his chair. His chair was empty more and more, though. He was only with us part-time. Grandma and Mother continued to work very hard to keep secrets about whether Papa really had left home forever or whether or not he was on one of his frequent overnights. Maybe he will leave now, but he will come back, I always hoped. I didn't want to accept that maybe they might get a divorce. Then Papa Will came home one evening to pack all of his belongings. I stood at the foot of the bed and watched him carefully arrange things in his suitcases. I watched him collect his guns from beneath his bed and put them in the new truck he had just brought home, saying it was his new toy. "Papa, why are you leaving me?" I asked. "I'm not leaving you and Conrad, honey, but just trying a bit of life without your mom." "But why? Why do you have to live away from home? Why do this and why now?" I was crying. He had left before for a Sunday and for a couple of nights. Conrad and I had just thought he was having overnights. Never had he packed all his belongings or taken his guns. I felt so unsafe, knowing we wouldn't have him to protect us at night. What would we do if the Klan came to call us out? "This has nothing to do with you and your brother," he said, looking me directly in the eyes and holding my hands. "I still love the two of you, and that will always be true." "Yes, sir, and I still love your mother, but you can't live with everyone you love, and we can't live together." I couldn't hold back my tears or my questions, but why? Please say why. Some things have no why, baby. They just are, that's all. I stood on the front steps alone, waving goodbye to him. I knew this wasn't one of his overnights. My head hurt and my stomach was queasy. What would happen to us? He was so big and strong. Papa Will was called on by people targeted by the Klan, destined to be hanged. He was the one who had the strength, agility, and knowledge to get them safe passage out of town. He knew the routes and transportation. People said he saved many lives. After he drove away, I sat on the front steps waiting for Grandma to come home. Here was one more giant problem I had to talk to God about. "Help me, please," I prayed. "Help Papa come back." I spent more time alone pondering my life, reading my New World Encyclopedia, my dictionary, and my Bible. I felt as though I lived on a separate island and the rest of humanity lived on the mainland. I couldn't tell anyone all the secrets in my heart and in my head. Time rushed past. Days all seemed like cookie-cutter copies of one another. It was April 1947, and I continued to seek private time with Grandma because she was the only one on this planet I felt close to. I could still ask her a few questions and enjoy watering the plants or listening to the radio with her. She was my best friend, my only real friend. On one sunny afternoon, when she had just returned from her church ladies' meeting, she rushed in to listen to our old broken radio. I noticed that she was very nervous that day. Something exciting must have been about to happen, as she didn't take time to remove her Sunday go-to meeting dress as she would usually. Instead, she had grabbed the radio and frantically worked to adjust it so we could hear what was going on. On this day, she stood in front of the dining room cabinet and put the radio on the highest shelf she could reach, moving it around as she held a wire connected to it. The radio was sputtering, and then we could hear the announcer explain about a man named Jackie Robinson, one of our folk, playing with the Brooklyn Dodgers. "The best baseball team ever," Grandma said. Suddenly, I heard Grandma whisper the words, "Oh my goodness." The crowd we heard on the radio in the big stadium was very angry, calling Mr. Robinson awful names and shouting, Nigga, go home. I was frightened listening to them. What would they do to him? Would they hang him? That's the North. The man who put him on the team is white, not black. Our people are stronger there, and they have more power than they have here. They can make the law work on their side, Grandma assured me. The policemen are more apt to rescue us up there. Some of them are even black, so the crowd won't be able to do very much. They can't hang him in broad daylight with the entire world listening on the radio and the stadium filled with northern people watching. I felt better hearing her assurances and comforted by the fact that our people were safer there than here. But the crowd's angry words hurt my feelings because they used some of the names I had been called. It's okay, Grandma said. He's doing what he must in order to get all of us up and over the mountain. Why go where you're not welcome, I asked. You cannot always go where others assign you to go forever, or you will never be free to claim anything as your own. When you're grown up, you get to make more choices because you can better protect yourself, Grandma told me. He's doing that for a reason, Melba. He's moving our people up the mountain toward freedom. He's willing to do what it takes to get us over because he knows when he gets through, he'll take his brothers with him. If we are ever to have our freedom and get what we deserve, we must go where we are not welcome sometimes. The load is heavy and the road is steep. We had to do what we need to climb up high enough to get over the mountain and claim our freedom. From that day on, I knew that Grandma was doing the same thing. She had not given up just because she had curtsied to the white lady who screamed at her about her job. She was doing what was necessary to keep us moving up the mountain, doing what was necessary to keep us fed, safe, and alive. Back in school, I could not focus on the work in class. My mind was whirling with thoughts of Mr. Robinson and his baseball and all those screaming people. Seeing him working so hard to move us forward made me realize I was not alone in my desire to have more freedom. I could not push down the excitement I felt on learning that I was not the only person on earth unhappy about how we were being treated by the white people. If Mr. Robinson was struggling and risking his safety for his equality, there must be many other people up north doing the same thing. I still couldn't figure out how or why white folks got their privileges and power automatically, even though we had to struggle and fight for hours, inch by inch by inch. But it was a question I was determined to answer.